Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers might be the most talented quarterback of his generation. 4 MVP awards, a Super Bowl ring, and a 103.6 career passer rating that ranked 4th all-time for years. For nearly a decade, he was untouchable. The arm talent was generational, throwing lasers into windows other quarterbacks couldn't even see. Then he forced his way to New York. The 2023 Jets season lasted 4 snaps before Rodgers tore his Achilles on the opening drive of Week 1. The entire franchise had restructured around a 39-year-old quarterback, and he was gone immediately. But the real story wasn't the injury, it was what came after. Rodgers spent the entire 2023 season and 2024 offseason talking about his comeback, focused on proving people wrong and showing he could still play at an elite level. He returned in 2024 at 40 years old. The results were whatever. He posted an 88 passer rating, threw 28 touchdowns against 11 interceptions, and his completion percentage sat at 63%, his lowest since 2019. The Jets went 5-12 in his starts. More troubling than the numbers was the film. Rodgers looked immobile in the pocket. The Achilles injury robbed him of whatever lateral movement he had left. Defenders collapsed pockets knowing he couldn't slide or step up. He was sacked 40 times that season, the most in 6 seasons. The consistency vanished. New York's offense ranked 24th in points per game with Rodgers starting. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Rodgers to a 1-year deal in 2025, and at first everything looked great. They traded for DK Metcalf, moved on from George Pickens, and started 4-1. Then the wheels completely fell off. The annual Mike Tomlin collapse came in full force, and now the Steelers are only 1 game ahead of the Ravens in the division after having a 4-game lead. The season isn't over, and he's thrown 19 touchdowns against 7 interceptions, but it's not looking great. Unfortunately, it seems like it's over for him and probably for the Steelers. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was a legitimate MVP candidate nearly every season from 2012 to 2021. 10 straight seasons, with a passer rating above 92, multiple playoff appearances, a Super Bowl ring, and another appearance. He made magic happen when plays broke down, extending drives with his legs and hitting deep shots off-platform. Defenses feared him. "Let Russ cook" became a staple phrase in NFL conversations. Then the Denver trade happened in 2022, and nothing was the same. Wilson posted an 84.4 passer rating, his worst since his rookie year. Denver went 5-12. He threw 16 touchdowns against 11 interceptions. The deep ball accuracy disappeared. His completion percentage dipped to the lowest it had been in 4 seasons. The mobility vanished as he took 55 sacks in 15 games, constantly holding the ball too long and refusing to take what defenses gave him. The eye test was worse than the numbers. Wilson looked slow processing reads, bailed from clean pockets, and the trademark scramble drills that used to create explosive plays now just killed drives. Denver benched him late in the season and eventually ate $85 million in dead cap to move on after just 2 years. Wilson signed with Pittsburgh in 2024, started 11 games, and posted a 95.6 passer rating with 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Respectable on paper, but the film told a different story. Pittsburgh's offense ranked 16th in points and 23rd in total yards with Wilson under center. The athleticism that made him special was gone. The processing speed that covered for his height limitation had slowed. Then came 2025 with the Giants. He signed as the starter, got benched, came back, and got benched again. The denial is the sad part. Wilson could transition into a veteran backup role or mentor young quarterbacks. Instead, every incomplete pass, every sack, every 3-and-out is a reminder that the elite version of Russell Wilson isn't coming back. Kirk Cousins never had the talent of Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. He was always a tier below elite, a solid starter who could manage games and put up numbers in the right system but never carry a team. For most of his career, that was fine. He made a fortune being good enough. From 2015 to 2022 with Washington and Minnesota, Cousins was remarkably consistent. He threw for over 4,000 yards in 7 of 8 seasons. His completion percentage hovered around 67%. Minnesota paid him $84 million guaranteed in 2018, betting on his consistency. For a while, it worked. The Vikings made the playoffs 3 times with Cousins starting. He wasn't spectacular, but he was dependable. Then the Achilles tear happened in October 2023. Cousins was having a solid season before the injury, with 2,331 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions through 8 games. Then his Achilles snapped. Season over. It was a contract year, and the Vikings let him walk, focusing on Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy instead. Atlanta didn't care. They signed him to a 4-year, $180 million contract in March 2024, with $100 million guaranteed for a 36-year-old coming off a torn Achilles. The deal made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Nobody questioned Cousins' intelligence or work ethic. Everyone questioned whether his body could hold up. It was also weird because the Falcons drafted Michael Penix just 1 month later. Through 14 games in 2024, Cousins posted an 88 passer rating. He threw 18 touchdowns against a league-leading 16 interceptions. The interceptions told the real story. Cousins threw picks on routine throws. His arm strength looked diminished. Balls that used to zip into windows now floated. Defenders had time to break on routes. Against the Chargers in Week 13, he threw 3 interceptions in the first half. Atlanta benched him in Week 16. Cousins' $100 million guaranteed contract became the worst deal in football. The Falcons are paying a backup quarterback $25 million per year through 2027. He's back to playing this season because Michael Penix got hurt. The Falcons are 1-1 in his starts, and he's only thrown 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. The good enough version of Kirk Cousins is no longer good enough. Odell Beckham Jr. Wide receivers age differently than quarterbacks. There's typically no gradual decline, no slow fade. One season they're elite, the next they're replacement level. The separation disappears. That happened with Odell Beckham Jr. From 2014 to 2019 with the Giants, he was one of the most explosive receivers in football. 3 straight seasons with over 1,300 yards. The one-handed catch against Dallas made him a superstar. Defenses game-planned around him. Then his body broke down. The 2020 ACL tear with Cleveland changed everything. He came back in 2021, caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl with the Rams, and looked like he might recapture something. But he tore his ACL again in that Super Bowl, and that was essentially the final nail in the coffin. In 2023, Beckham signed with Baltimore, played 14 games, and caught 35 passes for 565 yards and just 3 touchdowns. The separation was gone. He ran a 4.43 40-yard dash coming out of LSU. Now you could see he wasn't getting open even against zone coverage. He wasn't beating man coverage. He wasn't winning on contested catches. The explosiveness that made him special was completely gone. Baltimore didn't re-sign him. He joined Miami for 2024 on a 1-year deal. Through 10 games, he finished with 9 catches for 55 yards. Miami barely targeted him, and when they did, he couldn't separate. He was suspended earlier this season for PEDs and was recently reinstated, but more than likely we've seen the last of OBJ, even though he claims to have spoken to Aaron Rodgers about joining the Steelers for some reason. Cooper Kupp. In 2021, Cooper Kupp was the best receiver in football. He led the league with 145 catches, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns. He won the Triple Crown and Super Bowl MVP. The route running was elite. Sharp cuts, perfect timing with Matt Stafford. Separation at every level. Defenses doubled him, and he still won. Then the injuries started piling up. Kupp only played 9 games in 2022 with a high ankle sprain. The 2023 season showed more cracks with 59 catches for 737 yards in 12 games. Defenses stopped respecting his speed. They played off coverage and jumped routes. He came back for the playoffs, but wasn't the same. The 2024 season was his worst yet. In 12 games, Kupp had 67 catches for 710 yards and 6 touchdowns. His yards per reception dropped to 7.1, the lowest of his career. Puka Nacua replaced him as the primary weapon. Kupp signed with the Seahawks this offseason, but little did he know Jackson Smith-Njigba would turn into a star, and now he's wide receiver 2 on that team. When you watch him, that sudden burst just isn't there anymore. The injuries took his explosiveness, and what's left is a possession receiver running on reputation. Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's decline happened much faster than anyone expected. In 2019 and 2022, he was one of the most versatile weapons in football. The 2021 season was his peak, with 77 catches for 1,405 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns, plus 365 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. San Francisco used him everywhere, split out wide, in the slot, in the backfield. Defenses couldn't match up with him. Then his body started breaking down. Samuel missed games in 2022 with a hamstring injury. He came back but wasn't the same explosive player. The 2023 season showed more cracks, with 60 catches for 892 yards in 15 games. His yards per target dropped from 11.6 in 2021 to 10.0 that season and has only gotten worse. The burst wasn't the same anymore. He couldn't break arm tackles. The rush usage disappeared with just 37 carries all season, compared to 59 in 2021. The 2024 season exposed it completely. Samuel caught 51 receptions for 670 yards and 3 touchdowns in 15 games. His yards per reception fell to 13.1. More concerning was the usage. San Francisco stopped designing plays around him. He ran just 42 times, averaging 3.2 yards per carry. The explosiveness that made him special was gone. The 49ers traded him to Washington before the 2025 season. Through 10 games with the Commanders, he has 53 catches for 470 yards, averaging 8.9 yards per reception. Washington uses him as a possession receiver, not a game breaker. Samuel talked in the offseason about getting back to form and getting back in shape, but the injuries took the burst. What's left is a solid receiver who lost the versatility that made him elite. Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce defined the tight end position for a decade. From 2015 to 2023, he wasn't just one of the best tight ends in football. He was one of the most dominant offensive weapons in league history. 7 straight seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards, 8 Pro Bowls, 3 Super Bowl rings. He could line up in the slot and split out wide. Defenses couldn't match up with him. Too big for cornerbacks, too fast for linebackers, too smart for zone coverage. The 2023 season showed the first cracks. Kelce caught 93 passes for 984 yards and 5 touchdowns in 15 games. Respectable numbers for most tight ends, but for Kelce, they were concerning. His yards per reception dropped to 10.6, lowest since his rookie season. Defenses still respected him, but he looked a step slower. The 2024 season exposed everything. In 16 games, Kelce had 97 catches for 823 yards and 3 touchdowns. His yards per reception hit a career-low 8.5. The burst after the catch was gone. He couldn't break tackles anymore. Defenders would wrap him up at the catch point, and he'd go down immediately. Kelce used to separate at the top of routes with sudden cuts and acceleration. Against Buffalo in Week 11, Kelce caught 2 passes for just 8 yards. The Bills played single coverage, and he couldn't beat it. The Chiefs made the Super Bowl but got blown out by the Eagles. Kelce didn't show up in that game either, with just 4 catches for 39 yards. Kelce turned 35 in October. Every interview sounds confident. He still talks about competing for championships, but the film shows a tight end who lost his separation ability. The football IQ is still elite, but the physical tools that made him unstoppable are gone. In 12 games so far this season, he's looked better than last year, with 719 yards and 5 touchdowns, but it's now obvious he can't dominate like he used to. The elite version left after 2022. What remains is a veteran role player on the best team in football over the past few seasons. Cam Hayward? Cam Hayward was a force of nature for over a decade in Pittsburgh. 7 Pro Bowls from 2017 to 2024. He dominated the line of scrimmage, collapsing pockets, eating double teams, making plays sideline to sideline. In that stretch, he averaged 8 sacks per season. He was the anchor of Pittsburgh's defense, the guy who made everyone around him better. Opposing offensive coordinators game-planned around him. Then Father Time showed up. Now he's 36 years old, playing in 2025 with 1.5 sacks through 11 games. The Steelers are 6-5. Their defensive line isn't the strength it used to be. Hayward is still a leader, still commands respect in the locker room, but on the field, he's a replacement-level starter playing on reputation. Every snap shows a player who lost his explosiveness. It may be too soon to call time of death on his career, but the decline is undeniable. Cam Jordan's story mirrors Hayward's almost exactly. Jordan was a monster for New Orleans from 2013 to 2021. 8 Pro Bowls, averaged 11 sacks per season from 2013 to 2019. The combination of power and technique made him nearly unblockable. He could speed, rush, bull rush, swim, move past tackles like they weren't there. New Orleans built their defense around him. The decline started around 2022. Jordan posted 8.5 sacks in 16 games, but the pressure rate dropped significantly. He wasn't winning one-on-ones consistently anymore. The 2023 season was worse, with just 2 sacks in 17 games. His tackle numbers stayed decent at 43 combined, but the impact disappeared. The 2024 season showed a player completely past his prime. Jordan recorded 4 sacks and 34 combined tackles in 17 games. His snap count dropped from 70% in 2023 to 48% in 2024. New Orleans' defense ranked 19th in points allowed and 30th in total yards. The Saints went 5-12, and it seemed like maybe now was the time to retire. But Jordan restructured his contract to come back for the 2025 season. He's now 36 years old with 4.5 sacks through 11 games. New Orleans is 2-9. The defense is broken, and their former anchor can't fix it anymore. Both Hayward and Jordan keep showing up, keep grinding, Keep talking about leadership and setting examples. But the film shows two legends who just don't have it anymore, still playing because they don't know how to stop. Von Miller's peak was from 2012 to 2018 with 106 sacks in that time, a Super Bowl 50 MVP trophy, and status as an unblockable edge rusher. He went on to have a few okay seasons before popping off with the Rams in 2021 during their Super Bowl run. He parlayed that playoff run into a massive contract with the Bills, and that's where everything went wrong. He tore his ACL, missing the remaining part of that season and a decent amount of the following season. He had 0 sacks in 2023 for the first time in his career. He then started having legal troubles and suspensions over the next few seasons. In 2024, he did bounce back with 6 sacks, but he can't win with speed anymore. He has 5 sacks this season with the Commanders. Even though we all know it's over, most of us didn't even know he was playing. The explosiveness that made him elite is completely gone. What's left is a veteran trying to contribute on reputation alone. Bobby Wagner's peak from 2012 to 2021 was absolutely insane. 8 Pro Bowls, a tackling machine, a defensive signal caller, clearly a first-ballot Hall of Famer. You could see the slight dip in speed in 2024 with the Commanders, but something over the offseason really caught up to him, and that was Father Time again. He's slower in coverage now and can't pursue sideline to sideline. This season has been the worst for him. His numbers look okay through 11 games with 107 tackles and a few sacks, but you can just see he's not the same. The instincts are still there, but the body can't keep up anymore. Wagner is another legend, clinging to what used to be, unable to accept that the game has moved past him physically. Brandin Cooks has played for 5 teams in 12 seasons. From 2014 to 2018, he was one of the most consistent deep threats in football. 4 straight seasons with over 1,000 yards. He averaged 15 yards per catch during that stretch. Defenses had to respect his speed vertically. Now he's a journeyman. The 2024 and 2025 seasons tell the story. In 10 games in 2024, Cooks caught 26 receptions for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. His yards per reception dropped to 10, the lowest of his career. The deep speed was gone. Just 1 catch over 30 yards that season. Dallas stopped targeting him, and when they did, it was on underneath routes, not vertical shots. He signed with New Orleans for 2025, returning to where it all started. Through 10 games with the Saints, he had 19 catches for 165 yards, averaging 8.7 yards per reception. Somehow, the Bills saw the decline over the past few seasons and decided they needed to sign him immediately, scooping him up just a few days ago. He hasn't played yet, so we'll see how he does, but it's likely going to be more of the same. Cooks is still getting contracts based on what he used to be, not what he is now. The hardest truth in sports is that everyone declines. The body breaks down, the speed disappears, and the mind takes the longest to accept what the film already shows. These players gave everything to football. Now football is taking everything back. Which of these declines surprised you the most? Who else belongs on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching.